need to ask ourselves if the international response would be the same if Russia unleashed their horror on a country that wasn't white and largely Christian.
What? What the f?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Welcome to the channel. And yeah, I'm laughing because I just saw another ridiculous take from Reid. It's amazing how anybody out there can take this woman seriously at all, because what she does isn't journalism anymore. This woman is a comedian. I tell you, she's the funniest person on network news, on any network news channel that you have ever seen or ever watched, as Reid decided to explain to us, or woman-splain to us, why, or black woman-splain to us, why everybody in the world, particularly Americans, why their focus is on the Russian-Ukraine debacle right now. It's not because people are concerned that people might probably be dying there, but the real concern is that people are worried for white Christians. That's the reason why people are focused in there. So in today's video, I want to do a reaction to her program, her Readout, and how she came to do a mental gymnastics to get into this particular point. And it promises to be a little bit fun today on this particular one. So I want you guys to join me in watching Reid regurgitate her nonsense and watch this mental gymnastics that she does. And yeah, we'll give my reaction as we go along. Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And also don't forget to smash the like button on this video because it's massively important. It does make me smile. And yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it now, shall we?
The world watches the devastation unfold in Ukraine. Nearly 4,000 miles away, another crisis is deepening that we don't hear much about in the U.S., and that is the war in Yemen. In March of 2015, a Saudi-led coalition, backed by the United States, intervened militarily in Yemen in a bid to fight Iran-backed Houthi rebels. It has triggered one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world due to widespread hunger, disease, and attacks on civilians. 4 million Yemenis have been forced to flee their homes.
This is true, but this is not explaining why people aren't focused on that. Notice that she said this is starting from 2015. How long can people's attention span be focused on a certain area? 2015 is 7 years ago. It's been happening for 7 years. And when it started, the whole world's focus was on them. There was solidarity for Yemenis. There was every news was covering everything they went through, even when they were trying to go into Europe and there were blockades. Every news was criticizing those countries that refused to allow the refugees go in there.
Now, what we're seeing in Ukraine is absolutely the worst humanitarian crisis that Europe has seen in decades. But we haven't witnessed the same type of solidarity for the Yemenis as we do for the Ukrainians.
False. I just explained that. Yes, the whole world actually showed solidarity for Yemenis, right? The whole world actually showed solidarity for Yemenis. Matter of fact, the then president in 2016, 2017 was one of the most angered person as a result of the humanitarian situation, and that's Donald Trump. But they'll never give him any credit for that. But we'll get to that in a minute. I might be getting ahead of myself.
We don't see historic sanctions or global campaigns, corporations like Airbnb and Netflix taking a stand.
The reason why Airbnb and Netflix ain't taking a stand is because they don't have big businesses in Yemenis. They don't have big businesses in Syria or any of these countries that she's talking about. They got big businesses in Europe, so they can take a stand over there. What's the stand that they're going to take for Yemenis? What is it going to profit them? What is it going to benefit them? These people are woke, and they're doing what the woke mob wants them to do regarding to where they feel it's profitable to them. So what has that got to do with Ukrainians being white Christians? I don't know, because this company she's mentioning, they're profit companies. They want to make money any which way they can and look good while making money as well to the woke mob.
And this is not to say that we shouldn't care this much for Ukraine. Far from it. The point is we should also care this much for refugees and those facing occupation and war in the Middle East and Asia and Africa too.
Yeah, but people do care. People do care about those countries as well. But these things have been happening consistently, so much so that if anything new comes up, people are going to focus on what's new and not focus on it because of the people that it's happening to, but because it's new. It's happening currently And, it's clear and present danger, not just for the Ukrainians and not because it's in Europe, but because it could affect the entire world. We're talking about nuclear powers, in action here. We're talking about people with heavy nuclear powers in action that could potentially start fighting each other, that could affect the world drastically. You have already seen the prices of fuel. It started to go up because of what happened there. Did the same thing happen when it was happening in Syria and Yemen to you? Did you guys feel the prices of fuel go up? No, but you're feeling it now. Right? Seriously. She's supposed to be a journalist. She's supposed to know this, but look at the angle that she's coming from.
The coverage of Ukraine has revealed a pretty radical disparity in how human Ukrainians look and feel to Western media compared to their browner and blacker counterparts, with some reporters using very telling comparisons in their analyses of the war.
It's very emotional for me because I see European people with blue eyes and blonde hair being killed, children being killed every day with Putin's missiles.
The unthinkable has happened to them. And this is not a developing third world nation. This is Europe.
This isn't a place, with all due respect, like Iraq or Afghanistan, that has seen conflict raging for decades. This is a relatively civilized, relatively European, I have to choose those words carefully too, city where you wouldn't expect that or hope that it's going to happen.
Okay, yeah. So that coverage, I got to say to myself, that's kind of like a racist type of coverage. She probably got that montage from, Trevor Noah from the Comedy Central. They actually did that montage where they talked about how reporters were reporting this, in a racist manner. But those reporters that you're looking at, they're not even American reporters. These are European reporters because it's happening in Europe. And that's how they choose to report this whole situation, that people should feel pity for them, or this is unbelievably happening in a European country where you don't expect it to happen, which to me is kind of like racist, because you're trying to say that things like this should only be happening in lesser, non-civilized country or whatever. So I get that, but that still has nothing to do with America, because those reporters are not even American reporters. So what's she on about?
Civilized. Okay, let's face it. The world is paying attention because this is happening in Europe. If this was happening anywhere else, would we see the same outpouring of support and compassion?
No, the world is paying attention because it is affecting the world. Like I just said before, fuel prices are already going up. Lord knows what else is going to go up. It is affecting the world. It is not just going to be affecting Europe. That's why the world is paying attention to it. NATO is part of a world organization consisting of 32 countries. America and Canada are part of that situation. And if NATO goes into battle with Russia for any means, America is going to get involved. So this is potential world war. Potentially that could be happening. That's why the world is focusing on it. But her focus has to be racialized. This woman here, everything she sees is through the lens of race and nothing else. Every single analysis she does is through the lens of race.
But we don't need to ask ourselves if the international response would be the same if Russia unleashed their horror on a country that wasn't white and largely Christian. Because Russia has already done it in Syria.
That there was another lie told by Joy Reid. Syria and Yemen are not white Christian countries, but Trump responded accordingly. As you can see, the U.S. bombed Syria to punish it for a chemical attack. New Yorker reports Trump strikes Syria over chemical weapons, the chemical weapons that were unleashed on their own people. And you can see several reports that actually back that up, that there was an international response. But let's back up for a few seconds and just read down memory lane a report that came from CNN back. And I'd like to read this report from CNN because at that time that the whole thing was happening in Syria, which is something she talks about, there was a reaction from Donald Trump. Humanitarian reaction plus action reaction. Let me read this quickly from CNN Politics. President Donald Trump has become increasingly concerned about the humanitarian crisis in Yemen, which she said people weren't concerned about. President Donald Trump was concerned about it, but she wouldn't mention that because it doesn't score political points for her, which has been made worse in years by fighting between Houthi rebels and the Saudi-led international coalition, a United Kingdom official tells CNN. Now, thousands of civilians have been killed in the fighting, and the country has been hit by a cholera outbreak and famine. Trump got fired up while discussing the crisis during a recent phone call with the British Prime Minister Theresa May, the official said, because these things happened in 2018, 2017 or thereabouts. So according to this official, he said he was the most fired up that we have seen him since the chemical weapons attack in Syria, the official said, referring to Trump's expression of anger and disgust over a chemical attack on civilians, including children, by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime earlier this year. That was in 2018. In retaliation, the Trump administration blasted the Syrian airbase that launched the attack with Tomahawk cruise missiles, and there was some alleged, information that that base was actually also being run by some Russian operatives. But that didn't stop Trump from actually blasting them just to send them a message, and not just them, send Russia a message as well. And this is the person that they're saying, oh, it's Putin's boy, he's doing Putin's bidding. But no, it didn't stop him from blasting Syria. Now, even during that call with May, Trump sounded angry while discussing the sufferings of the civilians and told the prime minister that more pressure must be applied to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to prevent it, the official said. Saudi-led coalition fighting Yemen's Iranian-backed rebels blockade Yemeni ports in earlier November after a missile launch from Yemen was intercepted over the Saudi capital, Riyadh. In a humanitarian gesture earlier this month, Trump called on Saudi Arabia to end its blockade. The Saudi-led coalition said in a statement Wednesday that it would permit the Hudaydah port in Yemen, the last major Houthi-controlled port, to open for 30 days to allow humanitarian and relief supplies. So don't come out and tell us that nobody cared or attention wasn't focused on that. Attention was focused on that, but you guys decided to turn your attentions away, because if you focus more attention on that, it would make Trump look good, and you didn't want any of that to happen because you didn't want Trump to look good.
This is a teachable moment for us in the media. We aren't afraid to call out our own industry. There is a lot of soul searching that we need to do in Western media about why.
You goddamn got that part right. There is a lot of soul searching, and you should be one of the people that should be doing that soul searching, because y'all don't care. You know that.
Some wars and lives seem to matter more than others, and why some refugees get the welcome mat while others get the wall. And that is tonight's Readout, all in with Chris Hayes.
All right. So that was the Readout right there. And yeah, you would think this woman, right? This woman is a woman of valor, right? As a woman of valor, and as she is just called out the mainstream media, she would go out there and set an example, right? So I went over to her Twitter page to see how much of an example she is setting, because right now she should be calling more attention to the Yemeni situation in her own private, on her own private page on Twitter, right? Just to set an example, because this woman has 2 million followers. So let's take a look in real time if she's actually doing anything regarding that, because that report that you just watched was about 24 hours ago or thereabouts. So let's see what she's been up to in the last 24 hours. Well, she actually pinned a tweet there about I don't know who this guy is, but maybe the guy from 1945 or somebody that looks like him. That's not anything about Yemen. She's made tweets from tennis star Novak Djokovic. Nothing about Yemenis, nothing about Yemenis. We can scroll down, nothing about Yemenis, nothing about Yemenis, nothing about Syrians, nothing about Yemenis. Matter of fact, she's got a few things about, more about Ukraine here. And we can keep scrolling and see if we see anything. She's even got posts about McDonald's. She's got posts about rappers or whatever. She's got all sorts of posts except for the exact thing she's talking about. Nothing. And trust me, I've been looking through her posts for the past 24 hours or thereabouts, and there's nothing about Yemen or Syrian. So this woman is an absolute joke. She's just a comedian. She's just talking about things that will score her points, because in her mind, in her twisted world, she feels like if she talks about white Christians, people will somehow, relate that to conservatives, and people will somehow relate that to the Republican Party, and people will somehow hate themselves for trying to support the Republican Party because she's pandering to a base, and that's why she's doing what she does. This woman doesn't really care about the things that she talks about. We've seen that with the way she handled Gabrielle Petito when she talked about Gabrielle Petito and said that people have missing white woman syndrome when it came to Gabrielle Petito, but then someone else during the same period in time went missing just like Gabrielle Petito did, and that person was Lauren Smith Fields, who was just like Gabrielle Petito also an internet sensation who also went missing when a guy came to visit her or something like that. And eventually she died mysteriously. And this woman did not call people's attention to that particular case. She didn't do anything. She didn't release any information. She didn't even talk about it on her show. Matter of fact, when you scroll down on her Twitter, you find out that nothing relating to Lawrence Smith Fields was on her channel at all. So she was telling people that people are focused on Gabriel Petito, but she wasn't calling attention to her 2 million viewers. She could start a thread on Lawrence Smith Fields. She didn't do a single thing about Lawrence Smith Fields. Now, do you guys know who actually came out to actually call this to people's attention and demanded for an investigation of the death of Lawrence Smith Fields? One of the most unlikeliest people in the world, and that was Cardi B. And the family of Lawrence Smith Fields are thankful to Cardi B for actually calling or sparking people to actually start focusing on this woman's death, because nobody really was focusing on it until Cardi B started this and it became a story on Time magazine and whatnot. The most unlikeliest of person. Now, she made so much noise that the information reached 27.3 million people as reported by Time magazine. And those are people that you would think that they really don't care about you and I, but very unlikely. Some of the takes that, even Cardi B has given about this Ukrainian situation has been way better than all these idiots that are cable news network people. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this. This woman is faker than the fake wig on her hair. This woman, Joy Reid, is somebody that people shouldn't be paying attention to because she's just an absolute joke and she's just here for entertainment. She doesn't care about you. Her job is to score points for the political party that she supports. That's all. But anyways, you guys, let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about Trump's action. Let me know if you think that Americans were not as concerned about Yemenis, or what do you think about that as regards to how they are showing concern for Ukraine, why you think that is. Let me know in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, ding that bell for notification, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Till the next time that I see you again, take care, peace, and Sayaz out of here. Bye-bye now.